you like your career to grow and to be even more successful than you are right now? And if you're a formal leader, would you like others to take 100% responsibility for their own careers rather than expecting you or someone else to do that for them? I'm Dr. John Izzo, and I'm in the business of conversations that make the difference. And the conversation I'd like to have with you today is about how each one of us can take responsibility for charging up our own career while encouraging others to do the same. For the last 18 months, we have been running a program called Stepping Up Your Career Power at one of the world's largest banks. The program has received great reviews and challenges and helps people take 100% responsibility for their careers and their own engagement. And I believe that stepping up your career power begins by not expecting anyone else to do that but yourself. It's your job to make sure you're engaged. It's your job to make sure you are growing and to make sure you are seeking opportunities to grow your career. It is not your manager's job or your company's job, though hopefully they'll take an interest in those things. Ultimately, it's up to each and every one of us to manage our own careers. So here are 3 things you can do and encourage others to do to step up your career power. First, manage your own brand. Whether we know it or not, whether we manage it or not, each one of us has a personal brand already. We are known for something at work by our colleagues, our bosses, our peers, etc. I like to say they have a take on us. The only question is whether we are being intentional in managing that brand. What do we want our brand to be at work? What do we want their take to be on us? In the workshop, we show people what the research says about what great brands are at work. In other words, why we admire certain people and not others. Things like people who are positive and optimistic, people who take personal responsibility instead of blaming others, people who speak up constructively instead of staying silent or complain, people who collaborate, people who are perceived as being honest and trustworthy, and people who are perceived as being self-aware. You see, the clearer we are on the brand we want to be known for at work, the more likely we are to create such a brand. In the program, we actually have people write down 5 or 6 things that they want to be a critical part of the brand, what they're known for at work, and then in 1-minute increments, have them practice telling others what they want their brand to be. So that's the first thing we can do, identify what the brand is we want at work. Second, become what I call a feedback junkie. You see, the truth is that many of us know what we want our brand to be, what we want to be known for, but we may not know what we are actually known for or what our current brand is. What do people perceive us as being good at? What do people admire in us? What do they think we need to improve that might get in the way of our brand or our career progress? In fact, I'll give you a homework assignment we give people in the workshop, which is I'd like you to identify 5 or 6 people at work, peers, bosses, colleagues, who you feel will tell you the truth about what your brand actually is. Make an appointment with them and say, look, I'm working on my brand, on improving how I'm seen at work in a positive way, and I'd really like you to tell me the truth, and I promise I won't defend, I'll just listen. And then I'd encourage you to ask them questions like this. What are my greatest strengths? What makes me an admired team member or leader or colleague? And by the way, it's as important for us to know what we're good at and we have to build on as it is to know what we need to improve. Then ask questions like, what behavior do I sometimes exhibit that gets in the way of my effectiveness? If there were one thing you would suggest I work on to improve my brand, what would it be? And finally, what might get in the way of me growing my career around here? Then again, really listen. Don't defend. Ask for more details. Grow a clear picture of what your actual brand is. We have found that when people begin to manage their own brand after the workshop, they suddenly come back to the alumni sessions, which we run a few months later, feeling more in charge of their own success and more clear on the disconnect between the brand they want and the brand that is actually being seen. The third and final thing is spend regular time reviewing your career goals. Sit down at least every month or 2 and ask yourself, what are my 5-year goals, my 1-year goals, my 6-month goals, and my 3-month goals? When we do the program, I'm always amazed how many people have no 5-year goals. And even if they do, they've rarely thought about what they're doing in the next 3 or 6 months that might get them to that 1 or 5-year goal that they do have. Often we may have career goals but spend very little time thinking about what are we doing in the short term to get to those goals or to make progress. In the program, we encourage people to take time each month to consider their career goals and to ask, what have I done in the last month to move towards those, and what could I do in the month ahead? Now, this requires time, of course, time for us to think not just about the now, but what we want to do in the future as well. And what we want to do in the future may not be a particular position, but merely a direction. Maybe you want to move into marketing. Maybe you want to have a position with more authority. Maybe you want to be involved in more charitable work. By setting an intended direction, we can then ask, what am I doing right now to move towards this? So again, just like in the program, I'm suggesting 3 simple steps. Number 1, identify your desired brand, write it down in bullets or a statement, and read it every day. Second, go on a feedback mission to find out your current brand and identify the gaps you want to work on. And finally, spend at least an hour each month considering your 5-year, 1-year, 6-month, and 3-month goals, and make sure you're taking some steps each month to move towards those longer aims. Now, if you want to know more about our program, Stepping Up Your Career Power, please reach out to us to the name that you see on this email. I'm Dr. John Izzo, and I'm challenging you today to take responsibility for your career and to challenge others to do the same. Keep on leading.